Hi, this is Helen Thomas from the CDFM study group. I want to go over the team development process. Remember when we talked about the business process improvement team that is developed to build efficiency? We talked about Lean Six Sigma. Well, whenever you put a group of individuals together, the team goes through various stages. And so you can see there are 5 stages of team development. The first being forming. So in the forming stage, people are trying to figure out how they fit into the group. What are the other people's attitude? Is everyone glad to be in the group? Who will be the group leader? And how do you select? What are the criteria for being the group leader? So that is the forming stage. The second stage of team development is the storming stage. These are the goals. So the goals are being established for the group, but who decides? So is it majority? Is it whoever has a stronger personality? So how are they different from one person to the next? How shall we organize ourselves? They're asking, you're storming, you're trying to figure things out. So here, the group conflicts and relationships formed earlier may be disrupted because you're questioning each other. The next part is norming. Here, let's develop ways. You're trying to work together to establish procedures and processes in how the group will operate. Group rules. Here, a sense of group identity is formed and roles are allocated. We distribute the workload according to who we have, weaknesses, strengths, and so forth. And then number 4 is performing. Team development performing says, okay, now let's work together. Let's collaborate or compete in a friendly manner. The group now has an effective structure. We know who the group leaders are, what everybody's role are, what their responsibilities are for the group. And then now we are performing. We're doing what we were assigned to do. And once the mission and the task is accomplished, then the group will disband or adjourn. So here the group disbands and members reflect on how the group. So you typically do your after actions review prior to adjourning to see how well or how effective the group performed. So I did some additional slides here to go over each stage because the way you will see it is in a scenario and you have to determine what stage of team development are you in based on the scenario that you read. So in the forming stage, again, it says in this stage, most team members are positive, polite, they're anxious, coming into the group for the first time as they haven't fully worked with that team before. And as a leader, you play a dominant role at this stage because when you first put a group together, whoever that team leader is, you got to lay out the roles and responsibilities. And you don't really know that yet. You know what you're trying to accomplish, but together you have to figure out how best it needs to be done. So this stage can last for a long time sometimes because you're trying to just put people with different backgrounds together as people start to work together. Storming. Next, the team moves into this phase where people start to push against the boundaries. Who made you in charge? Why are you the group leader? Storming often starts where there's a conflict between team members, natural working styles. Some person may work by themselves better, some may be working better with a group. Some people has to be like they have to be in charge, even though someone else may be designated as the group leader. You may have someone else who determine that okay, their voice needs to be heard. So people may work in different ways for all sorts of reasons, but different working style can cause unforeseen problem if they're not dealt with. They may become frustrated. So storming can also happen in other situations. So it gives some examples. Team members start to challenge your authority. Or if you haven't defined how the team will work, like your group rules, People may feel overwhelmed by their workload, or they could be uncomfortable with the approach used there that's being used. Storming, norming. Gradually, the team moves into the norming phase. This is when people start to resolve their differences, appreciate your strengths and your weaknesses. You kind of capitalize on people's strengths and you help those with their weaknesses. So now that your team know one another better, they can work together, they can socialize better, and they are able to ask one another for help, feedback, constructive criticism. So there's often a prolonged overlap between storming and norming because as new tasks come up, the team members may go back to, okay, well, now we're going back to hearty discussion in the storming phase till we figure out a good norm. Performing, once everybody's been assigned their task and we agree, we move forward. The team reaches a performing stage when hard work leads without friction. We're not fighting against each other as much as when we started because we're actually working towards accomplishing the mission. So, as a leader, you delegate much of the work so you can concentrate on developing your team members. And the final stage is a journey. So many teams will reach this stage eventually. So you may either be working on a project that has a timeline, an end date, specific end date, or it may be an ongoing team, but eventually that team will be disbanded. So team members who like routine or who have developed close working relationships with colleagues may find this stage difficult because you don't want the group to end if you work together. So that is the team development process.